Hello, everybody. Welcome to Voices Big and Small. And on this episode, we're going to be looking at the voice acting career of Houston-based voice actor Blake Shepard. So, without no further ado, let's get going here. Of course, many of you would know him primarily from his most recent work on Toonami as the voice of Soma Yukihara from Food Wars, Shogeki no Soma. So let's take a look at this individual. Blake Thomas Shepard is an American voice actor who works on anime series and ADV films, Funimation, and Sentai Filmworks. He has provided voices for a number of English language Japanese anime series. Um, I'll go through the credits a little bit here. Outside, of course, of voice acting, Shepard is also the lead singer and guitarist for a band called Electric Attitude. Blake, of course, has been involved in voice acting since 2005, so basically for the past 15 years. So with that, let's take a look at some of the credits he's had over the years. So going all the way back to 2005, probably one of his first roles was as the English voice of Kato's cousin, the boy cousin, in the anime series Gantz. Also in 2005, he provided the English voice. He was cast as the English voice of Yuki Tokugawa in Ease Otherwise. And then he would provide the English voice for Kazuki Shikimori in Mamuraho. Then in Gilgamesh, he would provide the English voices for Tetsuya Madoka and Terumichi Madoka. Okay, so he'd provide the English voices for Tetsuya and Terumichi Madoka. Then in mythical detective Loki Ragnarok, a anime based on Norse legend where Loki is cursed into the child of a body and acts as a supernatural detective. Blake would provide the English voice for Kotaro Kakenochi. And then in Ghost Stories in 2005, he would provide the English voice for Kata, as well as a number of classmates and students of the main characters. Then, as we move ahead to 2006, in Diamond Daydreams, he would be cast the English voice of Kurokawa. He would also be cast in the anime Tactics as the English voice of Kantaro Ichinomiya. Then in Shin-Chan, he would provide the English voice of Oliver. In the mecha anime Jinky Extend, he would provide the English voice of Kosei. As we move ahead to 2007, in the anime Utawareru Mono, he would provide the English voices for Ha Haenkua, as well as Tamua. In Air Gear, he would provide the English voice of Akito Agito Wanijima, eye patch blader, basically. All he'd have to do is switch the eye patch over to bring out a particular personality. Then in Korar Phantom Memory, he would provide the English voice of Ed. In Pumpkin Scissors, he was cast as the English voice of Marchese. In Xenosaga the Animation, he would provide the English voice of Alan Ridgely. Then in Venus vs. Virus, he would be cast as the English voice of Yoshiki Kusanagi. In Blade of the Phantom Master, he would provide the English voice of June. In Tokyo Majin, he would provide the English voice of Ryuji Yashiro. Then, as we move ahead to 2008, he would provide the English voice of Jin Ogami. Now, there was a bit of a gap here between 2008 and 2010 because this is around the time when ADV was shutting down and was reestablishing themselves as Sentai Filmworks. So starting in 2010, that's when he started working more for Sentai as ADV had been shut down. So in 2010, in Halo Legends, he would be cast as English voice of O'Brien. Also in 2010, he would provide a number of English voices for Golgo 13, mostly guest spot, including Aaron Maxwell, Ben Pierce, Chuck, Joseph D. McCord, Father Vernon, and the SDR2 operator. Also in 2010, in Legends of the Dark King, a Fist of the North Star story, provide the English voice for Judah. Then in Ghost Hound, he would provide the English voice of Michio Hoshino. In Zomd Lost Memories, he would provide the English voice of Akiyuki Takehara. And in this is one of his first roles for Funimation. Actually, no, this was probably his second role for Funimation. In The Sacred Blacksmith, he would be casting English voice of Luke Ainsworth, which I believe was the lead protagonist in it. Then also in 2011, in High School of the Dead, he would provide the English voice of Tejima. Then in Green Saga, he would provide the English voices of Remus and Garu. In Clannad After Story, he would provide the English voice of Igarashi. In Demon King Daimao, he would provide the English voice of Fujiko's older brother. Also in 2011, in Angel Beats, he would provide the English voice of Yuzuru Odonashi. As we move ahead to 2012, in Dream Eater Mary, he would be cast as the English voice of Yumeji Fujiwara, which around this time he was picking up more and more lead roles. Those are both lead roles. In the Book of Bantora, he would provide the English voices of Ronkeni Hiyoi, Yuki Izona, and Lambert. That was all in 2012. Also in 2012, in the Plan Z movie, he would provide the English voice of Hiroshi Akijima. In Gintama, the movie, he would provide the voice of Toshiro Hijikata and Ayumi Tojo. In the Boy Can Fight Aliens movie, he would be casting the voice of Kakashi Hatoko. In the Hakuoki series, he would be casting the voice of Shoji Okita, and he would reprise his role in all the subsequent. In Heaven's Memo Pad, he would be casting the voice of Narumi Fujishima. In Majikoi O Samurai Girls, he would be casting the English voice of Takuya Moroka. In The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky animation, he would be casting his voice of Joshua Bright. He would, of course, as I said, reprise his role as Shoji Okita in Hakuoki Record of the Jade Blood. In Penguin Drum, he would provide the English voice of Shoma Takakura. In the ADV dub of, actually, I think this was actually the Funimation dub, rather, of Shakugan no Shana S. He would provide the English voice of Yukio Hamaguchi. In the ADV or in the Sentai dub of Roni Kenshin New Kyoto arc, he would provide the English voice of Yahiko Miyoji. In Inu X Boku Secret Service, as we now get into 2000, actually, I'm sorry, Rurouni Kenshin no Kyoto arc was from 2013. So now we're into 2013 here. In Inu X Boku Secret Service, he would provide the English voice of Zange Natsumi. He would also reprise his role as Soji Okita in Hakuoki, A Memory of Snowflowers. In Kids on the Slope, he would provide the English voice of Seiji Matsuoka. And in Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere Part 2, he would provide the English voices of Toshie Maeda and John Hawkins. In the anime Special A, he would provide the English voice for Kei Takashima. In Another, he would provide the English voice of Ikuo Takabashi. In Shining Hearts, he would provide the English voice of Rick. In Shirotama, he would provide the English voice of Yorara. In This Boy Caught a Merman, he provides the English voice of Fururi. He would then reprise his role of Shoji Okita in Hakuoki Dawn of the Shinsengumi. In Kampion, he would provide the English voice of Godo Kusanagi. In Nakaimo, My Little Sister is Among Them, he would provide the English voice of Tanaka. I recently watched that one. That was basically about a young man who he was the heir to a to a conglomerate. Basically, he as part of it, he had to go out and find a bride. Basically, um, he had to select from 5 girls. The only thing is there were some people who were trying to basically take the company away from him. And figured the best way to do it would be by putting his little sister that he didn't know was his little sister among his bride candidates and trying to trick him into marrying his little sister. So that was an interesting one. Okay, so also in 2013, he in Little Busters he would provide the English voice of Kyosuke Natsumi. In La Storia della Arcana Famiglia, he would provide the English voice of Liberta. In Medaka Box Abnormal, provide the English voices of Meguro Kurakami, the older brother of the main character, as well as Yamami Tsurumisaki, or Tsurumisaki. Medaka Box is a pretty interesting anime. Essentially, the main character wanted to help people, but the powers that be at her school were trying to hinder her from doing that, trying to point out to her that, basically the idea is that keep the keep groups separated, and that there were a select few that were meant to rule everybody else. And those who were genetically enhanced were the ones who were meant to rule. But she was one of those who was genetically enhanced who did not agree with that. That's Also in 2014, in the anime MM, Blake was cast in English voice of Taro Sato. Then in the anime From the New World, he was cast as the 12-year-old version and the 14-year-old version of Mamoru Ito. In Hakenden, Eight Dogs of the East, he was cast as the English voice of Kaname Osaki, which I believe this version of the dub, this is a later version. This is a 2014 version. There was an earlier Hakenden anime, but this version I think was dubbed by Funimation. In Amnesia, he was cast as Iki, the English voice of Iki. In Majestic Prince, he was cast as the English voice of Daniel. Also in 2014, In Problem Children Are Coming from Another World, Aren't They? He was cast as the English voice of Laius. In Mayochiki, he was casting as voices of Kenjiro Sakamichi and also the young version of Kenjiro Sakamichi. In Wada Mote, he was casting as voices of Yoshinori Kyoto and the Yandere Boy. In Tamako Market, he was casting as voice of Inuyama. In Log Horizon, he was cast as the English voice of Hien. In Diabolic Lovers, he was casting as voice of Laito Sakamaki. Also in 2014, in The Ambition of Obu Nobuna, he was cast as Asai Nagamasa. In now as we get into 2015, in Dog and Scissors, he was cast as the English voice of the dog Kazuhito Harumi. In Muv-Luv Alternative Total Eclipse, he was cast as the English voice of Vincent Lowell. An interesting mecha anime to check out. In Little Buster's Refrain, he would reprise his role as the English voice of Kyosuke Natsumi. In Maid Sama, he would be cast as English voices of Kuga Sakurai, Goki Aratake, and Inuyama and the Inuyama brothers, which were quintuplets. It looks like an interesting scenario. In the anime The World God Only Knows, Goddesses, he would be casting as the voice of Ryo Asama. He would reprise that role in The World God Only Knows Tenri arc. In Hamatora, the animation, he would be cast as English voice of Birthday. In Parasite the Maxine, which was an anime that was shown on Toonami, you might remember him as the English voice of Hideo Shimada. You happen to catch that anime. In Brynhilde in the Darkness, he was cast as the English voice of Ryoto Murakami. In Dramatical Murder, he'd be cast as the English voice of Trip. Also in 2015, in Aura, Koga Maruyin's Last War, he was cast as the English voice of Kinoshita. Chaika, the Coffin Princess, he was cast as the English voice of Alberic Gillette. He would reprise his role as Birthday in Regarding Hamatora. In Wizard, now as we get into 2016, in Wizard Barristers, he would be casting his voice of Shibuki Kujiro. He would reprise the role as English voice of Hien in Log Horizon 2. In Cross Aimed Rondo versus Rondo of Angel and Dragon, he would be cast as the English voice of Julio Asuka Mitsurugi. He would reprise his role as Shoji Okita in the Hakuoki movies, Hakuoki Chapter 1, Wild Dance of Kyoto, and Hakuoki Chapter 2, Warrior Spirit of the Blue Sky. Also in 2016, in the anime When Supernatural Battles Become Commonplace, he would be casting his voice of Shizumu Sagami. Then he would reprise the role as English voice of Alberic Gillette in Chaika, the Coffin Princess, The Avenging Battle. In Joker Game, he would provide the English voice of Hitoshi Tonomura. And in Monster Hunter Stories, Ride On, he'd provide the English voice of Debil. Okay, we continue on here. He would, in Monster Hunter Stories Right On, he would be cast as English voice of the Bill. Also in 2016, in Nanbaka, he would provide the English voice of Liang. In real life, he would be cast the English voice of Kazuomi Oga. He would then reprise his role as Kyosuke Natsumi in Little Busters EX. In My Love Story, he would provide the English voice for Kakitari. And as we move ahead to 2017, he would reprise his role as English voice of Laito Sakamaki in Diabolic Lovers More Blood. In Chivalry of a Failed Knight, he would be cast as English voice of Shizuya Kihara. We continue into 2017, of course. Blake would get probably the role he is most well known for right now, as as he was casting his voice of Soma Yukihira in Food Wars Shogeki no Soma. Also in 2017, he would reprise his role as Inuyama in Tamako Love Story, the Tamako Love Story movie. And also in 2017, in the volleyball anime Haikuyui, he cast as the English voice of Hisashi Kinoshita. In Darling in the Franxx in 2018, he would be cast as the English voice of Futoshi. Also in 2018, in Food Wars Set the Second Plate, he would reprise his role as Soma Yukihira, the English voice of Soma Yukihira. In Hanebado, he would be casting his voice of the actor Masao. In Bloom Into You, he would be cast as the English voice of Tomoyuki Ichigaya. In One Piece episode of Sabo, The Three Brothers Bond, A Miraculous Reunion, and the can't see the rest of it, but he'd be cast as the English voice of In Hell. In the Netflix dub of Knights of Zodiac Saint Seiya, he'd be cast as the English voice of Dragon Shiru. And then he would once again in Food Wars the Third Plate provide the English voice of Soma Yukihira. So those are all the credits of Blake Shepard. He's been around for quite some time. And of course, I think if so with that, hopefully you guys, I've opened your eyes to a few other works you guys can check out of his. Okay, so with all that being said, if you guys would like to contact me directly, my Discord link is in the link section below. You can go ahead and go and check it out if you'd like. I'm still, of course, you can always direct message me there. I'm still promoting a bunch of different dub companies. Always Funimation's not the only game in town. Hopefully, there are a few works here that Blake has done that maybe you guys would like to check out. He's been around since 2005, so 15 years. So that's a pretty impressive career there. And as I have always told you guys, I'm still, of course, promoting Vic's GoFundMe, as well as I just found out too that the Indiegogo project of that Umbrella Guy and Little Umbrella Girl got an extension, so that's still going on. So as always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. If you have the means to, it's on your heart to do so, please consider donating. if you've donated before, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the cause by sharing the link. Sharing is caring. You never know. Maybe um, somebody in your circle of friends may have, may want to help out. You never know. So hopefully you guys will catch the premiere here on. Oh, if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I would look forward to the conversations with you guys as long as they're civil and respectful. Hopefully I'll catch you guys at the premiere on Friday. If not, I'll see you on Monday. Bye.